This will be for the con assignment slope from equation. So for all of these problems, they want us to find the slope of the line, and they give the equation in this form, and you want to get the equation in the form of y equals mx plus b. So there's just two steps for that. You want to solve for y and then find the number that's multiplied by x. Okay, m represents the slope, and once you get it in this form, m will be the number that's multiplied by x. So starting with the first step, I'm going to solve for y. I want everything on the other side of the equal sign except for the y. In other words, I want this equation in the form of y equals. So since I have a positive x here, I'm going to do negative x on both sides. All right, you want to do the same thing on both sides of the equal sign. X minus x cancels. Okay, and here I have 3 times y, or y times 3. The opposite of times 3 is divided by 3. So again, I'm going to do the same thing to both sides. And over here, 3 divided by 3 cancels. And when you have multiple terms that are added or subtracted over a common denominator, each one of those terms is divided by that common denominator. So I'm going to rewrite this equation. I have the y here. And this is going to be 10 divided by 3. And this is minus x divided by 3. Now, we said before we wanted y equals mx plus b. All right, so we could reverse these numbers, these terms, in order to match this, but we don't really need to do that. We are just looking for the slope m, the number that's multiplied by x. So that's going to be this right here. All right, now remember, when there's no coefficient in front of the x, it's the same thing. It's the same thing as if there's a 1 right there. All right, we know that x is really just the same as 1x. So for the x right here, we can make it 1x, and that's basically the same thing. So the number right here that's multiplied by x, it's actually negative 1 over 3. All right, see, we have this right here. And that is the same as negative 1 over 3 times x. All right. This x here is in the numerator. If you put it in the numerator or if you put it out front, that's the same thing. All right. But the number that's multiplied times x is basically negative 1/3. So that's the slope m right there. All right, like we said at the beginning, you want to find the number that's multiplied by x once you get it, the equation in this form. So m is going to be negative 1/3. All right, and these are multiple choice. So just scroll down to negative 1/3. So here we have the equation, the line equation, in a different form. Again, they want us to find the slope of the line. And this equation right here is actually in point slope form. So the equation for point slope form is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So if it's in this form, it's actually easy to identify the slope. Remember, we said m represents the slope, so this right here would be the slope. All right, so the slope is just 3. So there's nothing really to calculate on this problem. Now, if you didn't know this form, you can still use the 2 steps we did in the first problem. Solve for y and then find the number multiplied by x. So I'll show you that method as well. So if you actually wanted to solve for y and get this in the form of y equals, I would just subtract 1 from both sides. Okay, and positive 1 and negative 1 cancels. I'm going to bring down the 1, bring down the equal sign, and then right here I'm going to use distributive property. 3 times x is 3x. 3 times negative 4 is negative 12. And then we have minus 1 here. All right. And negative 12 minus 1 is actually negative 13. So I could just cross this out and write negative 13. But anyway, this portion is irrelevant. Okay, we're just looking for the slope. So once you have it in the form of y equals, the slope is just a number multiplied by x. So this 3 right here is the slope m. All right, and that's exactly what we said before when we used the shortcut. So these are all multiple choice. Just scroll down until you find positive 3. All right, so for all of these, they want us to find the slope of the line. This here is not in point slope form, so we're going to have to do this the long way and solve for y. All right, so we want this in the form of y equals. And right here, instead of distributing this 3, we have 3 times this mess in parentheses here. So the opposite of times 3 is divided by 3. So I'm just going to divide both sides by 3. And 3 divided by 3 cancels. We're left with y minus 1 equals. And remember we said when you have the numbers over a common denominator, each one of these terms is divided by that common denominator. So 2x divided by 3. And positive 2 is divided by 3. All right. And really we're done right here, but I'll continue just so you can see that it's in the form of y equals. Okay, we have y minus 1. The opposite of negative 1 is positive 1. So I'm going to add 1 to both sides. And the 1's cancel, 1 minus 1. Okay, and we have y equals this mess here. Now really, we're just looking for the number that's multiplied by x. So we're not even worried about this part right here. I mean, we can add these together if we wanted to, but we don't need to. We just need the number that's multiplied by x. So like we said before, when x is in the numerator or out front, that's the same thing. So 2x over 3 is the same as 2/3 times x. All right, in the numerator or out front is the same thing. It's still a numerator right here. And we can clearly see the number that's multiplied times x is 2/3. So that's going to be our slope m, 2/3. All right. Like I said, you can combine these if you want, but it's completely unnecessary. We already have y equals, and we just want the number times x, so that's 2/3. So scrolling to our choices, that is answer B, 2/3.